So you're looking to sell your home and you're trying to figure out, am I gonna owe any taxes on the sale of the property? It comes down to a rather simple calculation, and let's discuss that. So the first thing we need to take into account is what we're gonna potentially sell the property for. So let's say we're gonna sell the property for $750,000. The first thing that we can deduct is the original purchase price. So let's say we purchased the property for $250,000. So now we're at a $500,000 capital gain. The next couple of deductions that we can deduct are escrow closing costs. So real estate commissions, escrow fees, this fee, that fee. The vast majority of the expenses on that escrow statement are tax deductible. So in this example, let's say we have another $60,000 in closing costs. The next thing that we can deduct are any improvements made to the home over the course of ownership. So they need to be improvements, not repairs. So an improvement would be like a kitchen remodel, not necessarily the repair expense that we had to fix the sink. Another example would be improving the roof, not necessarily roof repairs that we had to make. So they need to be improvements, and that is over the course of ownership of the home. So from the day you purchased the home to the day you sold it, we want to add up how much do we spend on improvements. So in this example, let's say we spent another $100,000 on improvements over the course of owning the home. So now our $500,000 capital gain is now down to just $340,000. And that's pretty much where your capital gain stops. The next thing that we need to figure out is how long did we own the home? If we own the home for at least 2 of the last 5 years, so they look at the last 5 years, how was the home used? If we lived in the home for at least 2 years of the last 5 years, so 24 months of the last 60 months, if we indeed lived in the home as our primary residence, we can deduct another $250,000 if we're single, or $500,000 if we're married filing jointly. So in this example, after deducting our original purchase price, closing costs, and the improvements, let's say we are indeed married filing jointly, we can deduct another $500,000 against this $340,000 capital gain, and we essentially would have no taxes on the sale. However, if we were single, we would only be able to deduct $250,000 against our $340,000 capital gain. So we would have a little bit of a capital gain here that we would have to pay some tax on. Now, what happens if you did not live in your property for at least 2 of the last 5 years? Well, then we want to know why you're selling it, because we can potentially qualify for a partial principal residence exclusion. And the way that this works, if we did not live in the property for at least 2 years over the last 5 years, let's say we only lived in the property for 12 months, 1 year, and the rule is that we have to live in the property for 2 years. So essentially, we only meet 50% of the requirement. Well, depending on why you're moving, we can still potentially get a partial exclusion. So in this example, if we lived in the property for 1 year and the requirement is 2 years, we can exclude 50% of the $250,000 or $125,000 if we're single, or 50% of the $500,000 or $250,000 if we're filing jointly. So basically it's prorated based on how many months, how many days you lived in the property in relation to the 2-year requirement. We have to have a reason for why we are selling. A reason would be some sort of financial situation, some sort of medical situation that's causing us to sell, potentially a divorce, potentially a necessary move for work. There needs to be reasonable cause for why you're selling. It can't be something like buyer's remorse, or we need to sell the house because we need a bigger house for our growing family. There needs to be reasonable cause for why we're selling the property to qualify for that partial prorated exclusion. And you'll be surprised how many people miss the partial exclusion. If you're looking to sell, or if you sold your primary residence and you need assistance with calculating the capital gains, definitely get in contact with us.